Good morning, folks. Thought today would be a really great opportunity, since it's the end of the year and it's the start of a new year, that we encapsulate everything that happened, or all the highlights at least, on our farm for 2024. We've had at least 150, 160 videos this year, so it's not something that I'm gonna go over every single final detail that happened on the farm. I'm just gonna stick to the highlights, okay? All the big things are important to me, accomplishments, maybe a couple failures, I don't know. And we had a lot of great things that happened on the farm. We had a lot of serious accomplishments, and of course we also had a few tragedies, and we'll briefly talk about those. They're always tough to talk about, but it's all part of what happened on the farm during the year, but let's get it going. It was early January, right in the dead of winter, that Billy, our Juliana mini pig, gave birth to these wicked awesome, cute little piglets. And honestly, they're the cutest little things, and we were overjoyed in welcoming this new little crew. You okay, Billy? You need any help? I don't know what I can do for you, though. You just gotta tough it out, okay? There's this baby in here trying to stay warm. He's doing okay. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I guess it looks like a boy. Very cute. I hope I can keep them warm enough tonight. It's like he's smiling. Look at his face. He's smiling because I'm hugging him. You got another one, Billy? Another one? Hopefully the heat lamps will give these piglets a fighting chance. Come on, Billy. Push. Push. There were 8 healthy piglets altogether. 5 of them were boys and 3 of them were girls. They're all warm. Like the piglet itself, the skin is very warm. This cute guy right here, he was the first one born. And he's a boy because you can see that he's a boy. They got the heat lamps. They're staying warm. I'm pretty sure I got the height right, because you don't want it too hot also, because it can burn their skin, I guess. But it's just at the right height that it'll keep them warm. He's peeing right now. Look at that guy. He's peeing. Way to go, buddy. Peeing under the heat lamp. That's a lot of pee. That's a lot of pee for a little baby. Here's some more straw, Billy. See, you can see Billy. She's fixing up her nest. Imagine, she's a good mama. Really good mama. Let's give this papaya to the pigs. Hello, piglets. You guys doing? You okay, Billy? How's the mama? What are you guys doing? You're running around, eh? Whoa, take it easy. I didn't do nothing. Yeah, I see you, Billy. I see ya. I see ya. I see ya. Okay, pigs, I got some papaya for you. We'll give one to Mama, and then one to you guys. Right, Billy? Here, pigs. Here, I'll put it over here for you. Billy, that's for your kids. Hey! Hey! Stop it. That's for your kids. Stop it. Come on, piglets. When I saw the piglets eating little bits of the apple the other day, I thought this would be a good thing for them to eat, because the papaya is like very mushy and it should be good for them to eat, but if they don't hurry up and start nibbling on it, Mama Billy's gonna come over and just get it. Here, I got apple for Mama. Here you go, Billy. Okay? It's a slow progress, but I mean, I'm sitting in here and it takes them a while to come over. Honestly, I'll have hours and hours of footage. But they've been licking the peanut butter off my finger. It doesn't really hurt. They're nibbling on it, but it doesn't hurt or nothing because they don't have a strong enough bite yet. But now they're coming right up to me. That's a good sign. Here. That guy's scratching down there. He's making too much noise. Anybody want the peanut butter? Billy, what are you doing to my boots? Billy, you're scratching on my boots? We were trying our best to sell all these. Basically, the girls sell the easiest. We always seem to be left over with boys. We were selling them for only $100 each, but as house pet pigs. They are not food. Only 4 piglets left, guys. We're down to 4 piglets. 3 or 4 people asking for girls. But sadly, these are 4 boys left. So, just got to keep trying to see if we can get somebody who's interested in having a boy house pig. Hey, take it easy, boys. Take it easy. I know you're boys, but take it easy. Gotta let the black one get in there. We've sold them before. In the last litter, we sold 2 boys, and they became great house pigs. And we did end up selling that last remaining black one, but those 3 white or pink pigs, we gave them away to a fellow homestead. We have 7 barn cats here at the farm, and it's been a couple of years now that we've been trying our best to develop a system in calling all the cats back at the end of the afternoon each day to protect them from the predators around here. So far it hasn't been too bad, but I thought it would be a really great idea if I converted my old workshop barn into a cat barn, and I'm gonna call it the cat cave or the cat house, and I'm gonna make it wicked awesome inside so that whenever the cats are not going out on the farm for whatever reason, they have a wicked awesome playground. Hey Dexter, how are you, buddy? Fuzzy, you keep bumping my arm. You're back again, eh, Tango? And here's a funny clip of when the cats were coming out in the morning one day and they didn't want to get their paws dirty or wet in the muck, and it was just funny to see them tippy-toeing around. You guys are crazy! Chunk! Way to be, buddy. You guys are all gonna follow that same path where there's just a little bit of ice left. Maggie, you gotta stretch. You guys are funny. Good girl, Bubbles. Come here. Fuzzy, what are you doing? I'm trying to pet Bubbles. I'm trying to pet Bubbles. Tango's doing a really thorough job there of inspecting the wood pile for mice. Hey, buddy. How are ya? You a good boy? You a good boy, Dexter? Whenever I have anything going on around the farm, the cats are always very curious and they want to find out exactly what's going on. So it's nice to see them inquisitive and curious and poking around what I'm doing. But how about I just give any newbies a quick introduction to the team? Chunk's checking it out right away. Hi, Chunk. And building up this cat cave for the Claw Crew here is no exception to their curiosity. They're always wondering what's going on. And I wanted to make it very cool inside. I tried to incorporate natural elements that could be found around the farm in addition to purchased climbing apparatuses. So you see I'm assembling a cat tree that I found on Amazon. It's a really big one. And, look, Mango's really curious right now, and I'm not even finished it. He's just checking it out. He's snooping around, wondering, what's this big guy doing? And it's comical to watch the cat's reaction to anything new. Building this cat cave for our cats was a 2-part video series, so if you're interested, you can easily look that up. But I incorporated trees and logs and actual natural stumps from the forest for the cats to climb on and jump on, and I don't know, I think they really like it inside there. I hung a rug on the wall so they can climb up, and I think it's enjoyable for the cats when they're cooped up inside there. So not only do the cats have this catio, but they also have now the cat cave, and they have sleeping arrangements, they have heated cat tents, they have heated cat beds inside cubbies. They have other cubbies that I put these clear plastic domes on. And I tried to make it look fun. And I'm still not finished. If you really think about what I'm doing here in the cat cave, it's an ongoing activity. And I always have peace of mind by protecting the cats at night rather than free-ranging them. So they're still out on the farm every day, taking care of the rodent population for us, but I'm confident that they're safe from predators. They do really great work for us here on the farm, controlling the mice population, so, I just want to show them a little love and appreciation. And I wanted to give them their own little space so that when it's really bad weather outside and they're not roaming around on the farm, they have a cool place to hang out, kind of like a man cave, but a cat cave, and they're not going to get bored and lazy. We've been raising ducks on this farm for 4 years now, and we felt it was about time that we built them a little duck pond. And really, it's not just for the ducks, it's for the geese also. But it'll actually save me time in the long run because I won't have to fill up their water bins multiple times a day, and it'll probably be aesthetically pleasing for the natural wildlife in the area as well. But building a pond is a pretty big undertaking, so I got started on it in the early spring before really the grass started to sprout properly, because I knew using an excavator was going to make a big mess of the area that the pond was going in. I decided to go with a rubber EDPM liner, and this is a special pond liner that is very thick and heavy, but it's also resistant to the sun's harmful UV rays, because you want the liner to last, obviously. You don't want to be rebuilding your pond every few years. But it's very difficult to put this in your pond by yourself, as I did. I went and I got a bunch of big rocks and I put it all around the edging, and I don't know if it's exactly right, but you know, I have to add rocks in any case, so something to start with anyhow.
There's no water yet, guys.
Just like with the cats, the geese were very curious as to what's going on. It's actually quite funny. But I wanted some aeration in the pond, so I decided to go with kind of a waterfall feature. And it starts basically installing a pump in the pool, and then it pumps the water up to the top of the stream, and then the water will just flow down the stream.
There she goes.
And because of my experience with the ducks and the geese, I'm fully aware that they make a big mess. So I knew I had to come up with a way to protect the area around the pond when the ducks get in and out. So I installed a landscape fabric and I put some stones so that when the ducks are jumping out of the water, you know, they're going to do a little flick to get the water off. It actually took the ducks an entire day to learn that that's where the water is now, but they are fully trained. And when I do the duck parade in the morning and all the ducks march out, the first place they go to is the pond. But the geese were actually quite smart and a little bit more curious than the ducks, because they found the pond instantly. And now the ducks and the geese both enjoy the pond on a daily basis. Well, in the non-winter months anyways. In the winter it's frozen over. But the geese found the pond first. They're very funny, very curious, and they looked quite regal and beautiful in the pond environment. They even went into the water even before I had finished designing the pond. And I made it such a way that they had an easy time to get in and out. And that was important. I didn't want anybody feeling trapped when they got in there. Since it's been a few years of using these small water containers for the geese and the ducks to basically bathe in and drink from, I felt a sense of pride, you know, building this pond for my birds, and I can see how happy they were, which I didn't really anticipate. And I was happy that they could be kind of in water, which is something similar to their natural environment, you know, the way they were intended to live. And I built this pond over the course of several episodes, so feel free to check that out. I do have a playlist about the building of the pond if you want to go back and watch some of these videos. But I tried to naturalize the pond the best I could. I mean, I'm not a professional pond builder by any means, but I wanted the pond to look like, or at least somewhat look like, it belonged there. I didn't want it to stand out like a sore thumb. So I thought it was important to add wood, add stones, big rocks. I tried to cover the liner the best I could. We ended up planting a whole bunch of different native plants around the pond just to make it look nice, and we had flowers growing, and it was a very nice summer experience with the pond. We did have a time where the pond was kind of greeny color, and I think it was just an algae bloom. The water itself stayed pretty clean. I was very impressed. There was a time during the summer that the pond had drained, And basically, there wasn't a lot of poop in there. I expected the pond to be really dirty and really nasty, but it really wasn't. And I think the aeration did a really great job of continually aerating the pond. And maybe in the future we can add some fish that the ducks could maybe eat. And of course, we may or may not add some potted aquatic plants in there, and that would help with filtration. But I'm also aware that ducks will ruin any plants that we put in the water, so I'm a little bit not sure what I want to do there. What I do know is building this pond is probably going to be a continual process. I was able to spread around a bunch of pasture grass seed just to fix all the area that I had damaged from using the excavator. And I think by midsummer, all the flowers were blooming. There was a bunch of weeds that we had to take care of a bit later, but the grassy area that was dirt around the pond filled in quite nicely, and I was happy about that. Maybe the greeny algae bloom is a failure, maybe not. I mean, it's just nature, right? Algae is just nature. We have to try to figure out a proper balance for the water to prevent or at least manage the algae bloom, because the algae is going to be a year over year, problem. It's not something that we can solve overnight, but we're going to work towards balancing the ecosystem of the pond as we move into these coming years. There was a few times on those hot summer days that I was sure that Olive, our old English sheepdog, was going to jump in the water to cool off, and that would be a green disaster. But she never did. She was really good. She really behaved and listened to me, and I was really proud of her for that. But I think overall, this duck pond looks good in the orchard. It's very functional, and I'm proud and happy that we were able to do that for the ducks and add another fun aspect to the farm. You have to also realize that I consider the ducks and the geese working animals on the farm. These are not meat animals. These are our laying flocks, but they actually do work for us. The ducks eat insects, which is good. The geese protect the ducks, which is good, and both of them are fertilizing and eating grass and weeds, so it's a win-win for everybody. And guess what I have in this box? Can you see that? I'm going to explain the whole story. Now I want to try my best to bond with these guys. These are Emden goose goslings. That's what you call baby geese, goslings. And this is the size that they are after day 1 when they hatch out of the shell, which is pretty astonishing. That's why they turn into such beautiful big birds. I grabbed a handful of the Emden goose eggs and I put them in an incubator in the house, and takes approximately 28 to 32 days for these things to hatch. Okay, we got a bunch of these Emden goslings to hatch. Let's just see what we got. Oh, some of you guys are dry and some of you are wet. What are you doing? Now these eggs and now baby goslings that are shown on the screen now are the offspring of the 4 geese that are protecting the ducks up in the orchard. We just watched them swimming in the pond, but these are their babies. I took the eggs and I hatched them because they were not being successful in hatching their own, so I needed to step in if we wanted to raise any more geese on the farm. That guy's walking around already. You're not going to eat my goslings, are you, Fozzie? Don't you touch those birds, okay? I guess the whole idea is you want these guys to bond with you when they're very young. So I plan on handling them every day, multiple times a day, making sure they smell me and know me. I'll try hand feeding them. I'll get them some grass after a couple days. For now, they just need the starter food. But that's the plan with these suckers. Hey guys, who's your daddy? Me, right? Right guys? Just remember, I'm your daddy. Here, join your siblings. There you go. Now I'm gonna get you some water. And I'll get you your heater and some food, and I'll give you some grass, okay? Yeah. Here, you guys want some grass? Yeah, you do. You're munching. You're munching on the grass. Here. Just trying to get these guys extra comfortable with me so that I can turn them into my pet guard geese. You're okay, buddy. How many people hug their goslings? Look at him, he's trying to clean my shoulders. They're so soft still, eh? I know, bud. You guys want this grass? Here. Oh, yeah. That's some great breakfast, eh, guys? Goslings! Goslings! Hey, guys! There you go. Come here. You want this? You want this? No, that's no good, eh? Here, I got some water for you. You want the water? Even as these little goslings were getting older, they were getting feathers, they were getting louder, they were eating more, they were getting faster, I still tried to bond with them. I still tried to always pet them. And there's especially one or two of them that I can pet, and they actually approach me for pets. You know, I don't have to go to them for pets. And I think overall, it's fairly well done. Goslings! Goslings! Come here. Hey, Gosling. How are you guys? You okay? Hi, Goslings. How are you guys? You okay? You getting lots of grass? Some grass? There you go. There you go, guys. Come on out, guys. Coming for pets, really? Are you coming for pets? Okay. Okay. You got black stuff all over your head. What's going on over there? Boys are fighting. I think I did a really good job with these goslings. They're not super aggressive towards me. There's at least the one girl goose that's somewhat nice and I can pet her, and I regularly pet her. The other one's not so much. But once we figure out which ones are boys and which ones are girls, we'll have to make some decisions. What are we going to do moving forward? But for now, let's have fun with these goslings. Sometimes it's difficult to imagine that we've been working on building this garden from scratch, though I might say, for approximately 3.5 years now. We started planting directly in the ground, and then we transformed it into this raised bed garden style. So that way we brought in a bunch of fresh soil, and we just said, you know what, we're going to start over and do it raised bed style. But the truth is, when you're building raised beds, you can't just go out and spend $10,000 on lumber and build all your beds. So I spread it out over a couple of years here. This is our second year with the raised beds, and I added to it again this year in 2024. So after laying out some landscape fabric, I got to building these raised beds. It was still in the middle of spring, so you know, it wasn't really full-on planting season yet, so I knew that I had some time to get this done. My darling wanted to expand our strawberry beds, so that's why I said, you know, I'm going to build 6 more beds, and we'll transform some of them into strawberries. But just building yourself a bunch of raised garden beds doesn't end there. Because really, you have to maintain it. And really, you have to have soil to fill it up. So of course, although we've been working for the past couple of years at building up our own composted soil system here at the farm, we don't produce nowhere near the amount that we needed for all these fresh beds. So I did have to go out and I bought some bagged soil, and we topped off all of our old existing beds as well. And that gave us enough composted manure and nutrients that we needed to kick off 2024's growing season. Now, for the past couple of years, my wife has started a lot of seeds indoors, you know, in the house, in the warmth. And that gives you just a little bit of a head start, where our zone 5B, we're supposed to be planting somewhere around the 3rd week of May, so depending on the weather, of course, but that should be past the last frost date and we're good to plant in the ground. But we also purchased a bunch of seedlings at our local nursery, the ones basically that we didn't start inside the house. And then on this side, it looks like maybe this is a bunch of Labanos or maybe Pechay, I'm not sure, but it's doing great. And we seeded asparagus in here, so I'm not sure if all these little tiny things are just weeds or if they're asparagus, but this whole bed right here, we planted perennial asparagus. One of the very early harvests that you get from any of the perennials that we grow are the strawberries. And my wife had a field day with these strawberries. We basically have 2 beds of strawberries, 2 different varieties. One of them is a June bearing and one of them is an ever bearing. Even Olive liked the strawberries. But we got a decent amount of strawberries, you know, considering that there's only 2 beds. But they were very good, very tasty, and they're a lot sweeter than they are from the grocery store. I think maybe it has to do with when you pick it fresh, it's sweet. Early on in our homesteading career here at the farm, we planted a bunch of raspberries and blackberries in between the freshly planted orchard trees up in the orchard. And the past couple of years, we did not get any harvest from these berry bushes, so we decided to completely revamp and change up how we're going to manage the berries this year. And we put landscape fabric over a huge area. And that's basically going to turn into our berry patch. It's going to be a combination of raspberries, probably 2 or 3 different varieties, and a big section of blackberries. But the main important thing is to get all the sumac covered with this landscape fabric, because without that, that entire area there would be covered in sumac trees. And we basically transplanted everything from the orchard right here. Just wanted to give a quick update on the raspberry patch. If you remember, earlier on in the summer, we dug up and brought over all of our raspberries that we had in the orchard. It wasn't working. We didn't get any raspberries for 3 years now. And we decided to lay all this out with the landscape fabric here. And we got the raspberries. Look at them all. You guys who've been following for a while, these plants were so tiny, they were half dead, and they're doing amazing right now, and we've been getting fruits.
Here.
Look at the size of this one. This one is a different variety. It's not the real red one. A lot, eh?
Yeah.
Nice. So are they sweet?
Yeah. See, you're gonna eat it.
It's nice. It's a lot. Never thought that at this time of year we'd be getting raspberries. It's not really a lot that we could make jam or something, but it's definitely odd, but cool at the same time. See that? It's so cool. Skipping back over to the garden, I thought it was time that we installed a drip irrigation watering system. But I didn't necessarily want to go with an actual drip system, so we installed these miniature little micro sprinkler heads and basically went across and we came up with a plan and we ran all the lines and we tried to space it out and plan it accordingly to allow for proper drainage and flow. And it's not a perfect science by any means. I think I still have some adjusting to do this coming 2025 gardening season. But, you know, I was wasting too much time. My darling, my wife, she was wasting way too much time standing there watering the garden. And sometimes that is a stress reliever, but most of the time we don't have time to water the garden. And it's just a good investment for us to develop an automated system here where, you know, it waters itself. It's all connected to a timer and I don't have to actually stand there with the hose watering each individual bed. And in addition to that, when you're dealing with raised garden beds, they dry out a lot faster than when something is planted in the ground. So it's very important to keep on the watering when it comes to these raised beds. So you're so happy, eh? You have lots of Filipino veggies?
Yes, I'm so happy. I cannot complain.
Look at this patola. It's a lot. Dami. Wow, look at the upo. Cannot even reach it.
This was the first year that my darling wife was successful in growing so much of her native Filipino veggies. She loves it. She's so happy. And I love seeing the smiles on her face when she's actually successful in growing a lot of the stuff that she grew up with in the Philippines. I mean, we grew a whole bunch of other stuff too, like carrots and lettuce and beans and tomatoes, of course. And there's just an endless list of vegetables that we grew in our garden this year. It was actually a record-breaking growing season for us. And of course we did have some failures. I think every garden has some failures in every season. But boy, oh boy, we were ecstatic to see the production in the garden this year. And we're not quite sure what we would have changed to make it produce any more. So we'll have to consider that as we move forward. Still got some tomatoes here. I don't know if we'll be using any of these, but they'll definitely be for the animals here at the farm. And speaking about tomatoes, that brings me to the next thing that my darling did. She prepared 2 different kinds of canned tomatoes this year. She did just like crushed tomatoes, and she canned them, so when she's making all sorts of dishes throughout the year, she can just use the tomatoes. But she also made pasta sauce again this year, and I've already tasted this pasta sauce once, and it's incredibly fresh, especially knowing that it came from all our hard work here at the farm. As the growing season went on and days passed, my darling continued to harvest pretty well every day or every other day, especially at the height of the harvest season. And she would, in fact, eat a lot of the veggies raw in the garden because that's her most favorite thing to do ever. But in addition to the canning that she did, she was able to make a bunch of pickles, and she was able to blanch and freeze a whole bunch of different kind of veggies. So she's so happy about that.
This ampalaya, we call this in Filipino ampalaya, but in English this is bitter melon. And it's been how many years I've been trying to grow this here in Canada, but I have no luck. But this year I have luck.
In addition to all those raised beds that I built, I also built a 16-foot trellis. That way, when she plants her Filipino veggies, they have an actual wall to climb up, because those veggies are very viney, and then the vegetables actually hang down, and it's really cool to look at and walk through there. And I was very proud and happy to see my wife proud and happy of all her successes in the garden this year. The garden is, in fact, my darling's domain here at the farm. You know, I handle most other things to do with the animals and maintenance and whatnot, but when it comes to the growing, my darling handles it all. And I think she does a really great job, and I'm proud of her. I love her for it. And I'm happy that at least she enjoys doing it, and she enjoys spending time on the farm with me too anyways. But we have a lot to look forward to for the growing season this coming year, so it's exciting. Now, the pride and joy for me this year on the farm in 2024 was my portable sawmill. It's a Woodland Mills HM 136 Max sawmill, and it was some pressure test to get this thing assembled, let me tell you. It's probably the most complicated thing that I've ever had to assemble in my life, and I mean, I don't know how many things I've assembled, but it was complicated. But I managed, I got it done, and I couldn't have been more proud of myself. I've been saving up money for the past couple years to buy this sawmill, and it's a very expensive piece of machinery, but I was finally able to afford it this year, and this sawmill is going to enable me to further develop the farm. And that is very important because we do have 15 acres of hardwood forest, and it is a somewhat dying forest that needs to be managed, so there's going to be a lot of wasteful wood. I figure I can harvest a bunch of my own wood, and I can mill a bunch of my own lumber from that wood, and I think it would be saying something, speaking about self-sufficiency and self-reliance, that you do not necessarily have to rely on the hardware stores or lumber yards for all your lumber needs. And now, of course, the next logical step would be to not have to leave this brand new expensive piece of machinery out in the rain and the snow and all the other bad weather. So I got started building this state-of-the-art, custom, ultimate sawmill shelter, and it's kind of like a work area also, not just for the sawmill, but I created kind of a huge work area under a roof, which will basically allow me to keep the weather off all my gear, keep the weather off the sawmill itself, and if I do choose to do any kind of work under there, oh, it's so nice you don't get rained on or snowed on. But taking this on solo, which is how I do most things, was a very daunting task. I mean, I don't get frightened easily, but I was a little worried in having to pick up those huge beams. I managed okay. It was an adventure to say the least. I've had to harvest a whole bunch of trees from the forest and turn them into custom posts and custom beams. And if I had to order all that stuff from a lumber yard, it probably would have been tens of thousands of dollars in custom lumber, because it's not just your standard dimensional lumber. I have an entire video series about this sawmill shed build in a playlist on the channel page. If you're interested and you haven't seen it, or you thought you missed something, or you just want to watch it again, you can check out the playlists. I think it's 14 episodes altogether, and if you start from number 1, work your way up to 14, you can see the complete transformation of this sawmill shelter and exactly how I built it by myself over the course of several months. It was an adventure to say the least, and a huge sense of accomplishment I felt after finishing this thing, and I'm just so happy that I got it finished.
I'm just getting used to the excavator, you know. I only have maybe 20 hours on it, but I think that beast is going to make my life so much easier with this sawmill, and I shouldn't even have any problem getting these big beams up there with that thing. It's just a matter of getting it sitting straight on that corner and on that corner at the same time, so I might have to get in and out of the machine several times to make sure that it's right before I'm actually releasing it or screwing it down. I might in fact actually screw it down even before I release the jaws, because maybe releasing the jaws is like a jolt, you know, like a big jolt, and then it might tumble over or something.
Time to put my thinking cap on, because today's the day that I'm gonna attempt to build the barn doors to cover the 24-foot opening of this massive sawmill shelter. I had never built any kind of barn door in my life, nor have I ever installed one. So I had to do a little bit of research on YouTube and try to see what information I could find. To be honest, there wasn't really a lot of videos available about giant farm barn doors. So I thought it would be a really great opportunity actually to make a video about how it's done. There's a lot of videos out there about how to make smaller barn doors for your house, but that wouldn't work in this particular case because this here is a 12-foot door. Moving these things were no easy task though for one man. It's really a 2 or 3 person job. But I always seem to find a way to manage to do things by myself. I went with a 3-door style on the front of this barn, and that's just so that one door can slide in front of the other door, and that saves a little bit of space. So I think overall I did okay. I stained it the same color as the building, which is a russet color, and I also made some design element with these big huge X's, so now it basically looks like 4 X's when you look at it, and I think it looks great. Now while 2024 brought a lot of joy, there was also some hardships that we had to endure. Most recently, our Freddie Mercury barred rock rooster passed away suddenly, and more importantly, Molly, our Old English sheepdog, tragically was killed in an accident here at the farm. And I don't particularly like to talk about it. I'll start to cry again. I'm still not over it. She was my best girl, and I miss her with all my heart. I just can't believe she's gone. I knew part of the long-term plans for our homestead here was to get some breed of turkey. And as doing some research, I fell in love with the red bourbon breed. I thought they were a really beautiful breed of turkey. So we picked up a whole bunch of chicks from a person not too far away from where we are. And we got these turkey chicks. Now, it wasn't all pride and glory with these chicks, because it turns out turkeys are very difficult to raise when they're young. They're very fragile. They just kept dying. But when it's all said and done, we ended up with 5 turkey babies that survived. And what we established later on as they grew older was that 3 of them were boys and 2 of them were girls. And I also knew that I wasn't going to be keeping 3 boys. That's too much testosterone in any flock of birds. So I knew that at some point I was going to be culling 1 or 2 just so that we can manage the flock more efficiently. You guys shouldn't be in Elvis's coop. Seriously, what are you doing? You're so curious, eh? Now, I actually enjoyed my adventure with these turkeys. I do like having them around. I do like how docile they are. And they're very easy to manage. They didn't really give me any grief. I mean, they fly here and there, and I think the females are the ones doing all the flying all the time. I've never seen the males flying. But overall, I've really enjoyed my time with these turkeys. We had to build them their own house. So I built the turkey tower and the turkey trot run, and that's where they live in the evenings. We do have them free-ranging out in the bird yard during the days and when there's not too much snow also. But I'm happy that we got these turkeys. I don't really have any regrets where the turkeys are concerned. They do their job, and I'm sure they're eating some grass and weeds and insects and all that kind of stuff. And they're very easy to take care of, and I do like the little natural sounds that they make, so that's always a plus. We did harvest one of the male tom turkeys for our Christmas dinner. It's the first time that we ever actually were able to raise our own Christmas turkey, so that's a great accomplishment for us here at the farm. It's one step closer to self-sufficiency as far as I'm concerned. The Christmas turkey. And she made really a nice turkey dinner. It was a very nice Christmas. We had this incredible fresh turkey that my wife prepared, and it will be a memorable Christmas. But she had this cranberry nut bread. She had mashed potatoes. She had sweet potatoes. She had broccoli. Of course, she had the cranberries and gravy and this absolute scrumptious turkey. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That pretty much sums up the year we had. A lot of great stuff happened during the year, and of course, some tragedy and sadness too. And I think this encapsulates everything that's going on. So you guys just stay tuned. We're still going to continue to have new episodes Monday and Thursday mornings. And of course, I hope everybody out there had an amazing New Year's, whether you celebrated, whether you stayed at home and just chilled out like us. It's always great to ring in the new year, and I wish everybody all the best in 2025, okay?